Hey everybody, this is Jeff coming to you from Good News Gathering with this week's special Christmas edition of the Good News. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Christmas. According to one popular Christmas song, it's the most wonderful time of the year. A time marked by family get-togethers and family traditions, of decorating Christmas trees, giving gifts, and engaging in acts of kindness and charity. One of our family's favorite traditions that began when our boys were small and continues to this day is this. As we decorate our tree, we watch the 1984 movie version of A Christmas Carol starring George C. Scott as Ebenezer Scrooge. A Christmas Carol is actually one of 5 Christmas stories written by Charles Dickens, the great English novelist and one of the most popular writers of all time. It's a story filled with biblical overtones, and it begins with a character that Dickens created, whose name has become in the English language synonymous with a self-centered skinflint, Ebenezer Scrooge. In fact, Dickens describes him as a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Scrooge's sole concern in life is the making and hoarding of money. And yet he does virtually nothing with it except keep it. He lives a bare existence in a cold, bleak, and near-empty house, and he uses none of his wealth to help anyone else in need. In fact, he is virtually alone in the world and disliked by those around him, but he is perfectly content that he is living both prudently and prosperously. But then one Christmas Eve, Scrooge is visited by the ghost of his old business partner, Jacob Marley. When Scrooge asks why Marley has come to him, Marley makes his intentions clear. He's offering Scrooge an opportunity to change. Marley's ghost is doomed to walk the earth unseen, knowing the good he could have done, the people he could have helped, but failed to do so. His is an eternity filled with remorse. At the time of the rolling year, Jacob said, "This time I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me?" And so Jacob promises old Scrooge a visit by 3 Christmas ghosts. Like the wise men, they each bear a gift. The ghost of Christmas past reminds Scrooge of events in his life and decisions he has made that have formed and shaped him into the hardened man he has become. A painful childhood, a lost love, the death of his beloved sister, the greed that has consumed him. These are realities that cannot be changed, but they are gifts, in that they are realities from which he can grow with a change of heart. The ghost of Christmas present shows the old miser the joy that Christmas brings. As Scrooge's nephew says, "I have always thought of Christmas time, apart from its name and origin, if anything belongs to it, can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem, by one consent, to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys." Scrooge witnesses the joy of his underpaid employee, Bob Cratchit, and his family as they celebrate Christmas with the sickly Tiny Tim. Though poor and in failing health, Tiny Tim looks upon his little life with gratitude, proclaiming, "God bless us, everyone." Scrooge observes his nephew, who shares his heart with his beautiful but dowerless wife and their friends. And he sees poor families living on the streets, scrounging for food as he hoards what he does not enjoy and will never use. The third ghost, the ghost of Christmas future, shows Scrooge what his future holds if these shadows remain unaltered by a change in Scrooge's life. He sees the Cratchit family mourning the loss of Tiny Tim. He sees his own grave in an untended, overgrown, forgotten graveyard. Scrooge cries out, "I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been but for these visitations. Why show me this if I am past all hope?" But he is not past all hope. He is still alive. He can change. When Scrooge awakes, he vows to live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. And Scrooge is as good as his word. To Tiny Tim, Scrooge becomes a second father and uses his wealth to ensure that Tim has the best doctors to nurse him back to health. To Bob, he becomes a generous employer. To his nephew, he becomes a loving uncle who restores their broken family. And to the poor, he becomes a caring benefactor. In Dickens' closing words, Scrooge becomes as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. It was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well if any man alive possessed the knowledge. You know, when you think about it, Dickens' classic novel is a story of redemption. It has been said that Christianity is the religion of the second chance. In this story, Scrooge begins as a self-centered, selfish, unlikable character. But despite this, he's offered a chance, an opportunity for a changed life, a life that moves him beyond himself. That, friends, is what Christmas is all about. God sent his Son into the world to offer each of us a second chance, a chance at a redeemed life made right with God. It's an opportunity for a changed life, a life that moves us beyond ourselves, a life that will live on in eternity with him. The Bible says it this way in Titus 2:13 and 14. Jesus Christ gave himself for us to redeem us from all wickedness and to purify for himself a people that are his very own, eager to do what is good. Why did Christ come into our world? He came to redeem us from this self-centeredness and the selfishness that is the very essence of sin. He came to purify us, that we might take on his attitudes, his words, and his actions. And he came to transform us into people who are eager to do what is good, to love God, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. As we are transformed, the world around us is transformed. As old Ebenezer Scrooge was transformed, so we can be transformed. And the world around us, the world that is impacted by our lives, will see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. Or in the words of Tiny Tim that close a Christmas carol, God bless us, everyone. And that, friends, is good news. I love you all, and I hope to see you on Sunday. We'll get together again next week for a New Year's edition of the Good News. Merry Christmas, everybody.